I'd like to recap a few events from the last few years. MySpace sold for $580 million to Rupert Murdoch a number of years ago. People thought Rupert Murdoch had finally lost it. It's getting old. It was a really, really bad move. Recently, people have valued MySpace at 20 times that. There's another fellow, Mark Zuckerberg. You may have heard of him. You may have heard of Facebook. If you have kids, thank you. If you have kids, they're probably on Facebook quite a bit. There's an estimated 60, 70 million people who are on Facebook. Now, you may not be on Facebook, but they may be. Mark Zuckerberg, who's I think he's now maybe 24, but a couple of years ago when he was 22, he was apparently offered $1 billion for Facebook. And on the cover of a magazine, they ridiculed this young fellow. They said, $1 billion? He's turning down $1 billion? That just goes to show the guy's 22 years old. He should really get some grown-ups to help him out a little bit. So what happened more recently is there's this company, Microsoft, who was desperate to buy a sliver of Facebook. Does anybody remember what Facebook was valued at in the eyes of Microsoft? $15 billion. So needless to say, Mark Zuckerberg is not looking so young and inexperienced anymore. Now there's another company, and I can give some recent information on that company, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is sometimes called Facebook for grown-ups. Is anybody on LinkedIn in here? Yeah, so that's what I figured. So now I won't ask who's on Facebook. Most of us, if we're on Facebook, it's just to follow what our kids are doing. So Facebook is sort of a spying tool for us adults to see what pictures our kids are swapping. LinkedIn, did anybody read an article just in the last week or so to see what LinkedIn was valued at? Anybody you know? Yes. Of course, Mike knows. Mike knows a lot about this area. $1 billion. So LinkedIn was recently valued at $1 billion. They expect to do $75 to $100 million in revenue this coming year. They have 20 million subscribers. So what do all these things mean? So we're at this investment forum that's covering a number of opportunities for investors. What do these things mean? That's what I'd like to cover. Sorry. That's what I'll cover today. Before I get going, I'd like to ask a few questions. Who in this room is an investor in a Web 2.0 company? Okay, there's a few. Are there any Web 2.0 entrepreneurs here? Okay, so there's a handful. And lastly, who knows what crowdsourcing is? Is anybody, of course, my go-to guy, Mike, knows what there's a few people who know what crowdsourcing is. Okay, that's good for me to know because what I'd like to do today is to discuss 7 frequently asked questions regarding Web 2.0 and crowdsourcing, or more generically, crowd power, and just introduce those concepts to all of you so that you can then consider whether there's worthwhile investment opportunities in that field or whether as an entrepreneur that's an area that you should maybe look into. Now the reason I say 7 frequently asked questions is that as I've launched this book, and I'll just reiterate, there's copies of this book at the back for all attendees. So as I've been out promoting the book, I've been doing a number of interviews, and I get asked similar questions almost by every interviewer. So what I thought I'd do is, just to make it move along fairly quickly, given that you're hearing a lot of presentations today, I thought I'd just focus on what I call 7 frequently asked questions. And this will be a little bit of a primer for you.